Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Nityalapa Vishtam Vishnupad Ashatar Shata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Nityalapa Vishtam Vishnupad Ashatar Shata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalapa Vishtam Vishnupad Ashatar Shata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalapa Vishtam Vishnupad Ashatar Shata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalapa Vishtam Vishnupad Ashatar Shata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalapa Vishtam Maha Bhagavat Srila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalapa Vishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Nityalapa Vishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Anugaurya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jeev Gopal Padadasa Raghunath. Shar Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari. Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridāsa Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Bhadati Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Ki Jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Ki Jai. Śrīla Vrindavan Das Ṭhākura Ki Jai. The Gaudiya Bhashya of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, everybody. So I am now again is this a second day or a third day? I don't know. But I'm going to skip the kirtan part because I really just want to finish this one long purport that I've now gone through 2 days without reading. So I'm going to just jump to that now, and then we'll do the Mangalacharan after I read this one purport. Just so that we will have read every single Gaudiya Bhashya. It'd be nice if we didn't miss anything. So, just checking who is there right now. Haribol Karuna Didi and Ganga Mataji. Dandarat pranams to you both. And starting from tomorrow, we'll do kirtans again. Okay, so let's find it. This was in the previous chapter, the marriage of Vishnupriya and Vishwambar. Let's find it. It was, I think, Nagnajit. That will be Nagnajit. There it is. Okay. Yeah, so this is a very long commentary that we have been not reading. Okay, so there's a long, beautiful, amazing procession to the house of Sanatan Mishra, the father of Vishnupriya Devi. And this is when they arrived at the house. Then, okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, so Sanatan Mishra, after they arrived at the house of Sanatan Mishra, Vishnupriya's father, the huge procession, then Sanatan Mishra brought the appropriate ingredients and sat down to offer welcome to his son-in-law. He duly performed the welcome ceremony by offering padya, arghya, achmaniya, cloth, and ornaments. Then Sanatan Mishra's wife and other ladies also welcomed the groom according to prescribed regulations. She first placed durva grass and rice paddy on the head of the Lord. Then she offered him arati with a ghee lamp of 7 wicks. They showered the Lord with puffed rice paddy and coins while uttering sounds of triumph, and in this way all the rituals in current practice were performed. Vishnupriya, who was nicely decorated, was then carried on a seat to the marriage arena. Thereafter the Lord's relatives joyfully lifted him by raising his seat. Following current practice, the Lord was blindfolded with a cloth, and the bride was made to circumambulate him 7 times. After the circumambulation, Vishnupriya came before the Lord and offered him obeisances. All the ladies then showered flowers on the couple, and the 2 groups of musicians began to play. As the men and women all offered loud praise from all sides, it appeared as though the personification of happiness had incarnated there. The universal mother, Vishnupriya, then offered a flower garland to the Lord and surrendered herself at his lotus feet. Then Lord Gaurachandra sweetly smiled as he offered a flower garland to Vishnupriya. Thereafter, Lakshmi and Narayan happily showered flowers on each other. Unseen by common people, the demigods headed by Brahma joyfully showered flowers on the couple. Then the associates of the bride lifted her, and the associates of the groom lifted him, in a joyous competition over who could lift higher. One moment the associates of the Lord would win, and the next moment the associates of Vishnupriya would win. The people would smile as they informed the Lord, who was still blindfolded, of the results. The Lord smiled sweetly in reciprocation. In this way, everyone there floated in an ocean of bliss. Thousands of torches illuminated the arena, and nothing could be heard other than singing and the playing of musical instruments. At the time when the bride and groom exchanged glances, the tumultuous sound of music filled the entire universe. After exchanging glances, Shri Gaurasundar sat down with Vishnupriya. At that time, the ecstatic Shri Sanatan Mishra sat down to offer his daughter in marriage. Following the Vedic injunctions, Sanatan Mishra offered the Lord Padya, Arghya, and Achmaniya. Then he chanted the prescribed mantras for giving his daughter in marriage. With a desire to please Lord Vishnu, Sanatan Mishra then offered his daughter into the sacred hands of the Lord. Jai ho! Jai! Vishnupriya Vishwambar ki Jai! He thereafter joyfully gave cows, land, bedding, servants, and maidservants to the couple. Sanatan Mishra invited Lakshmi Priya to sit on the Lord's left side, and then began to perform the fire sacrifice. After performing the rituals prescribed by the Vedas and local custom, Sanatan Mishra took the couple inside the house. Vaikuntha manifested in the house of Sanatan Mishra. Finally, they all sat to take their meal. After taking their meal, the Supreme Lord and his wife joyfully spent the auspicious night together. Who can describe the happiness enjoyed by Sanatan Mishra and his family members? Kings of the past like Nagnajit, Janak, Bhishmaka, and Jambavan all experienced good fortune. And now this is the commentary, Gaudiya Bhashya, that I haven't been able to read the past few days because it's so long. So now we're going to hear a bio about all these people, all these kings of the past, like Nagnajit, Janak, Bhishmaka, Jambavan. They all experienced good fortune. And then in the next verse, it says, what does it say? My God, this is so long. Next verse says, that same good fortune was now experienced by Sanatan Mishra and his family, due to the previous service of Lord Vishnu. Okay, so let's hear about the comparisons of good fortune to Sanatan Mishra's happiness, his good fortune. Hari Bol Subhadra Didi. Okay, so Nagnajit was a most pious Kshatriya king of Ayodhya. Lord Krishna's king Satya appeared as his beloved daughter. So according to the name of her father, she was also known as Nagnajiti. According to the stipulation put forward by Nagnajit, Krishna easily subdued 7 ferocious, sharp-horned, indomitable bulls who could not tolerate even the scent of their opposition, and thus duly married Srimati Satya, or Nila Devi. For a description of the incidents related with Nagnajit, one should see Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 58, verses 32 to 55, and the incidences related with Karna's conquest in the Goshyatra Parva of the Mahabharata Vana Parva. Okay, so that was Nagnajit. Now we come to Janak. Janak, the king of Videha, or Mithila, was the eldest son of Hrasvaroma. He was also known as Kshiradvaja. While plowing attractive land to be used for a sacrificial performance, he obtained a self-manifest daughter from the tip of the plowshare, and therefore he became known as Kshiradvaja, and that daughter became known as Sita. His duly begotten daughter was named Urmila, and her younger brother's name was Kushadvaja. Previously, after the destruction of Daksha's sacrifice, Lord Shiva entrusted his own bow into the hands of Devavrata, who is the predecessor of Janak. With a desire to offer his self-manifest adopted daughter, goddess Sita Devi, to a suitable heroic groom, Janak established a test of valor. In other words, whoever was able by great strength to pull the string of the above-mentioned bow would alone receive this jewel-like daughter as his wife. But what to speak of pulling the string of Lord Shiva's bow? Kshatriya kings of various kingdoms who came to Mithila with a desire for the hand of Sita Devi, they were not even able to pick up the bow. One day, the great sage Vishvamitra came to the saintly King Janak's sacrificial arena, accompanied by Lord Ram and Lakshman, the 2 sons of Dasharat, the king of Ayodhya. When they heard the stipulation of Janak, the king of Videha, when they heard the stipulation of Janak, the king of Videha, on the following day, Lord Ramachandra, on the signal of Vishvamitra and Janak, he easily pulled the strings of Lord Shiva's enormous bow in front of innumerable spectators, and broke it in 2 pieces with a tumultuous sound. Thereafter, he duly married his Mahalakshmi, his Srimati Sita Devi. Regarding this pastime, one should refer to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 9:13-18, the Vishnu Puran 4:5-12, and the Mahabharata in the portion of the Vanaparva 273-9, dealing with Draupadi's kidnapping in the Sabha Parva. His conversation with Ashtavakra Muni is found in the Vanaparva chapters 132-134. His conversation with Panchashika Muni on spiritual topics is found in Shantipur chapters 221 and 324. His conversation with his wife regarding a Kshatriya's duty and necessity for maintaining his subjects is found in Shantipur chapter 18. His conversation with a Brahman named Ashma is found in Shantipur chapter 27. His displaying heaven and hell to his soldiers is found in Shantipur chapter 99. His remaining fixed in consciousness even upon the burning of Mithila is found in the Shantipur chapter 223. Sri Shukadev Goswami's coming before him and their conversation is found in the Shantipur chapter 333. His conversation with Mandavya Muni is found in the Shantipur chapter 296, and his conversation with Yajnavalkya Muni regarding the creation of the living entities is found in the Shantipur chapters 315 to 323. For a description of his dynasty, one should refer to the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 9th Canto, Chapter 13, the Vishnu Puran, Part 3, Chapter 5, the Vayu Puran, Chapter 89. Apart from these, one should refer to the Valmiki Ramayana Ādi-khaṇḍa, Chapter 31, verses 3 to... This is... Oh my god. Okay, let's just get through this. Actually, I think it's okay if we skip this. Just the chapter numbers and things like that. If anybody wants to find out more about Janak Maharaj, then here's a ton of references for different chapters and verses about Janak Maharaj. Alright. Haribol, Bhavatarani Mataji, and Nri Hari Prabhu, and Champak Didi. Hare Krishna, everybody. Okay, so now we went through Nagnajit, Janak, and now we're reading about Bhishmaka. Bhishmaka was the king of Vidarbha, or Kundina. He had 5 sons, Rukmi, Rukmaratha, Rukmabahu, Rukmakesha, and Rukmamali, and 1 daughter named Rukmini, who is none different from Mahalakshmi. After hearing from the mouths of people about the attractive form, qualities, and pastimes of Lord Krishna, Rukmini Devi mentally accepted Lord Krishna as her husband. One second. Okay, so Rukmini accepted Lord Krishna as her husband. Lord Krishna also considered Rukmini Devi as an appropriate wife and decided to marry her. But the evil-minded Rukmi, her brother, who was most envious of Lord Krishna, decided to offer his sister to the hands of Shishupal, the son of Damaghosha, the king of Chedi. When the Rukmini Devi came to know of this plan, she became extremely morose, and one day before the marriage, she sent a letter with a reliable Brahman messenger to Lord Krishna. After the Brahman handed Rukmini's letter to Lord Krishna and revealed her appeal, Krishna left for Vidarbha on a chariot pulled by horses that were so fast that they arrived on the same night. Krishna then sent the Brahman messenger to Rukmini with assurance of his willingness to accept her hand in marriage. When Balaram heard that Krishna had gone alone to Vidarbha, he took many Yadav soldiers and also went to Vidarbha. With a desire to fight Krishna and Balaram, Shishupal, who is the born enemy of Krishna, also came to Vidarbha with like-minded persons like Shalva, Jarasandha, Dantavakra, Pondraka, and Vidurat. Meanwhile, out of affection for his son Rukmi, Bhishmaka, the king of Kundina, made elaborate arrangements for offering his daughter to Shishupal. When Vidarbha Nandini Rukmini, when she slowly came near Krishna after worshipping goddess Ambika in a temple on the day of the marriage, Krishna immediately snatched her in front of all the enemy kings, just as a lion snatches its prey. And with the help of Baladev, he completely defeated Shishupal, Jarasandha, and all the other kings who were desirous of fighting, and thereafter returned to Dwarka and duly married Mahalakshmi. One may further refer to Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, chapter 52, verses 16 to 26, and a bunch of other verses and chapters, and also Mahabharat Sabhaparva, and Vishnu Puran, and the Harivangsha, for more about this, I guess, this Leela, or about Krishna and Rukmini. Okay, so those were 3 fathers that we went through. What was... Oh God, I have such a terrible memory. What was... Doesn't matter. Okay, Bhishmaka, yes. Okay, so we read about Nagnajit, Janak Maharaj, and Bhishmaka. Those 3 fathers, their joy on... Now we're reading about Jambavan, the joy of Jambavan, which has been compared to Sanatan Mishra's joy, the father of Vishnupriya. Okay. Jambavan, the king of bears, was a wise devotee of Sri Ram, and one of the 4 ministers of Sugriv, the emperor of the monkeys and king of Kishkindia. I've been there once. That was so cool. It is said that he was born during the yawning of grandfather Brahma. He was the father of Mahalakshmi Jambavati Devi, the queen of Lord Krishna. On account of worshipping the sun god, Satrajit, a king in the Satvata dynasty, received the precious Samantaka jewel from him. When Lord Krishna requested the Samantaka jewel on behalf of Ugrasen, the king of the Yadus, he refused. One day, when Prasena, the brother of Satrajit, went out hunting wearing the Samantaka jewel on his neck, a lion attacked and killed him, and took the Samantaka jewel within its cave.
Later, Jambavan, the king of bears, killed that lion and gave the jewel to his son to play with. Meanwhile, when Lord Krishna heard that people were accusing him of killing Prasena, he took some residents of Dwarka and went to search for Prasena in order to free himself from this accusation. They first found that Prasena had been killed by a lion, and later found that the lion had been killed by Jambavan at the foot of the mountain. Thereafter, Krishna ordered the residents to wait outside as he entered the bear king's formidable mountain cave, wherein he saw the jewel being played with. He saw the jewel being played with in the hands of a boy. As soon as he attempted to take the jewel away, the nurse cried loudly out of fear due to seeing a strange human form. Hearing the nurse's cry, Jambavan, the king of bears, appeared on the scene in a very angry mood, being bewildered by the illusory energy of Vishnu. He wrestled with Krishna day and night for 28 days without understanding the glories of Krishna, who is none different from his worshipable Lord Ramachandra. Finally, he became completely exhausted, and his body began to shiver as he offered prayers to Lord Krishna, realizing that he was his worshipable Lord, Śrī Ramachandra. As a result of receiving the Lord's mercy, he regained his strength, and then the Lord revealed his purpose to him. Thereafter, Riksharaj Jambavan presented the Samantaka jewel and his daughter, Jambavati, to Lord Krishna. The Lord then returned to Dwarka and duly married Jambavati. One should refer in this connection to Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 56, verses 14 to 32, and all these other places. There's a lot of references. My God, I'm not going to read all those references. If you want to see the references, you can. If you want to look into that more. All right, so that same good fortune that was experienced by all those fathers of the wives of Krishna or Ramachandra, that same good fortune was now experienced by Sanatan Mishra and his family due to the previous service of Lord Vishnu. Due to his service to Lord Vishnu, so the next morning, the most fortunate Sanatan Mishra executed all the necessary traditional rituals. So that's all. I'm just going to read up to there. Alright, so we got past that. That was a very long commentary, my God. Kishore was asking, how is Kishkinda? Oh my God, it is probably the most interesting place I've ever been to in all of India. It's now called Hampi, Hampi. It's a big tourist destination, but it's like walking back many hundreds of years in time. There's all these ancient ruins everywhere, and like ancient temples, and like completely carved out of stone. It's just so neat. Yeah, I'd love to go there again sometime. I remember Venugopal would go there just for his creativity, because it was like walking back in time. And so he'd go there, like when he wanted to write a novel, he went there just to get like creative inspiration, being in such a interesting place like that. Okay, so now we are going to do the Mangalacharan and continue chapter 16, the glories of Śrīla Haridāsa Ṭhākura. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tar Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ajanulambita bhujo kanakavadato sankirtanaika pitaro kamalayataksho vishvambaro dvijavaro Yugadharma palo vande jagat priyakaro karunavataro Namastrikala satyaya jagannatha sutaya cha Sabhrityaya saputraya sakalatraya te namaha Avatirno sakarunyo parichinno sarishvaro Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Dvau Bhrataro Bhaje Sajayati Vishuddha Vikrama Kanakabha Kamalayate Kshana Varajanu Vilambi Shadbhujo Bahudha Bhakti Rasa Bhinartaka Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandro Jayati Jayati Kirtis Tasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhrityas Tasya Vishveshamurter Jayati Jayati Nrityam Tasya Sarva Priyanam Adya Śrī Caitanya Priya Goshtir Charane Ashesha Prakare Mor Danda Paraname Tave Vando Shri Krishna Chaitanya Maheshwar Navadvipe Avatar Nama Vishwambhar Tavaivasmi na jivami tvaya vina Iti vigyaya devi tvam nayamam charanantikam Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshai Kshiptashtakama ditaranga madhye Kripa mai tvam sharanam papanna Vrinde namaste charanaravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare The glories of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata and Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur from Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 8, verses 33 to 42. Ore mura lok shuno Chaitanya mangal Chaitanya mahima jate jani beshakal Krishna lila bhagavate kohe ved vyas Chaitanya lila vyas vrindavana das Vrindavana dasa koilo Chaitanya mangal Jahara shavane nashe sarvaya mangal Chaitanya nitar jate janiye mahima Jani Krishna bhakti siddhanter sima Iha jani koriya udhar Chaitanya mangal shune jadi pashandi javan Sheho maha vaishnava hoy tatakon Manushe rachite nare aiche granta dhanya Vrindavana dasa mukhe bhakta Shri Caitanya Vrindavana dasa pade koti namaskar Aiche granta korite ho tarila sansar Narayani Chaitanyer uchishta bhajan Tar garbe janmila Shri Dasa Vrindavan Says my internet's unstable. 1 second. Just gonna do a speed test while I'm doing this. Okay. Tar ki arbhuta Chaitanya Charita Varnan Jahara Shravane Shuddha Koila Tribhuvan Sahaje Vichitra Madhur Chaitanya Vihar Vrindavana Dasa Mukhe Amrite Dhar. My god, I'm getting crazy upload speeds. That's so weird that it says it's... I don't understand why it said... not getting good. Okay, it's not bad. Okay, good. Yeah, my upload speed's never 84. Lots times it's like just 1. So I think it's pretty decent. Okay. Chapter 16. The Glories of Śrīla Haridāsa Ṭhākura of Ādi-khaṇḍa. Oops, I forgot to read this. By nature, all the activities of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata are very wonderful and sweet. And when they are described by Śrīla Vrindavan-das Ṭhākura, they become like a shower of nectar. Jai Śrīla Vrindavan-das Ṭhākura ki jai, Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai, Śrī Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai. The Gaudiya Bhashya of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Sudevi Didi, and Brishti Roy, and Prajumna Prabhu. Hare Krishna, and everybody else watching. Hari Bol. Alright. And Champak Didi, yeah, okay. Kishore Prabhu. Alright. This chapter describes the glories of Ṭhākura Śrī Haridāsa, the godless condition of Navadvip at that time, the meeting of Haridas with Advaita Ācārya, the Kazi's complaint against Haridas. That's where we're going to read up to today. And then we'll hear about the various tortures, such as beating with sticks in 22 marketplaces, the astonishment of the Mohammedan king on seeing the opulence of Haridas. We'll read about that tomorrow. And the king's instruction to freely perform Harinam Sankirtan, the execution of Haridasa Ṭhākura's chanting 300,000 names of Krishna within a cave at Pulia, the description of a great snake who lived in that cave, the imitation of a pseudo-Brahman, and the miserable fate of the so-called Brahman resident of Harinadi, who is an offender at the feet of the Vaishnavas, and who is opposed to the loud chanting of the holy names. So those are all the topics in this chapter. Okay, so when Sriman Mahaprabhu enacted his pastimes as a householder and a teacher, the entire country was devoid of spiritual practices. Everyone was simply inclined for insignificant, ordinary enjoyment. Even those who studied or who taught literatures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, they had no respect for Krishna Sankirtan, which is the purport of all scriptures and the life and soul of all education. Since only a pure few devotees chanted the holy names of Krishna together in a solitary place, they became the target of everyone's harassment and everyone's teasing and mischief. The devotees could not find a single sympathetic person to whom they could reveal their mental distress. At such a time, Ṭhākura Haridas arrived in Navadvip. So that was what we read about yesterday. And today we will be reading about Haridas appeared in the village of Buran. By his mercy, the holy names of Krishna were preached in that area. On the pretext of living on the bank of the Ganga, Haridas first came to Pulia, and then he went to the house of Advaita Ācārya in Shantipur, where he became intoxicated by chanting the holy names of Krishna in the association of Advaita Ācārya. Being maddened with love of Krishna in the form of chanting his holy names, Haridas was, more than anyone, free from the least inclination for things other than Krishna. Seeing his pure transformations of ecstasy, the Brahman community of Pulia began to show him special respect. At that time, the most sinful Kazi complained against Haridas to the Mohammedan king, that although Haridas was born in a Mohammedan family, he followed and preached the names of the Hindu's god. When the men came to take Haridas to the king, he fearlessly accompanied them to his court, considering, if we get darshan of Haridas in the prison house, then our pains of miserable prison life will be vanquished. The prisoners, considering that if we get darshan of Haridas in the prison house, then our pains of miserable prison life will be vanquished, they humbly and submissively informs the prison guards about their desire to see Haridasa Ṭhākura. Śrī Haridas also informs the prisoners that their present condition of freedom from material enjoyments was favorable for worshipping Lord Śrī Hari, and he instructed them to always engage in all conditions When the Mohammedan king asked Haridas why he took to the Hindu religion, Haridasa Ṭhākura replied that the Supreme Lord is the one non-dual substance, and he belongs to everyone. He is situated in everyone's heart as the director, and the living entity acts in whatever way the Lord inspires him. By the request of the most sinful Kazi, the Mohammedan king advised Haridas to accept his own religion, failing which he would be severely punished. But Haridas replied that even if his body was cut into pieces and his life air left the body, he would never give up his swadharma in the form of chanting the holy names of Hari. In other words, he would never in any condition give up the living entity's constitutional duties. Okay, so we're going to be reading up to this point today, and then I'll read the Kathasar later on. Like from tomorrow, we'll read the rest. Okay. Hari Bol, say Shri Mataji. Okay, what verse are we reading? We're reading 18. Okay. Okay, so this chapter was, we read all these verses. The materialist said that these devotees chant the name of Hari to attract the attention for collecting alms. They said many other things. I'm just skipping ahead. The people of Nadia met together and decided, let us break their doors and houses. Hearing this, all the devotees felt great distress. They could not even find anyone qualified to speak with. The devotees saw the entire world as devoid of devotional service. So they prayed to Krishna in great distress. At that time, Haridasa Ṭhākura arrived in Navadvip. He was the personification of pure devotion to Lord Vishnu. He was the Vigraha Prakash of Shuddha Vishnu Bhakti. Now, please hear the topics of Śrīla Haridāsa Ṭhākura, for by hearing this narration, one certainly attains Krishna. Purana gramete avatirna Haridas e bhagye she shabde she kirtana prakash. Haridasa Ṭhākura appeared in the village of Buran, and as a result, that province is filled with kirtan even today. Gaudiya Bhashya by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Haridasa Ṭhākura is an eternally perfect associate of the Lord. He appeared in a Mohammedan family in the village of Budana, within the district of Jessore. Due to his mercy, many persons in the district of Jessore obtained piety and became faithful to the chanting of Krishna's holy names. Kotadina Thakiya Aila Ganga Tire Asiya Rohila Pulilai Shantipure. After residing there for some time, he came to the bank of the Ganga at Pulia, near Shantipur. Gaudiya Bhashya. Pulia is a remote village near Shantipur. Thakur Haridas lived for some time in both Pulia and Shantipur, both of which are situated on the banks of the Ganga. Payatahan Shanga Ācārya Goshai Hunkara Koren Anandir Antanai. Upon obtaining Haridasa's association, Advaita Ācārya roared in unlimited ecstasy. Gaudiya Bhashya. Having received the association of Thakur Haridas, Śrī Advaita Prabhu felt great happiness and often expressed an outburst of this joy. Haridasa Ṭhākura o Advaita Deva Shange Bhashen Govinda Rasa Samudra Tarange. Similarly, in the association of Advaita Prabhu, Haridasa Ṭhākura floated in the waves of the ocean of Krishna consciousness. Gaudiya Bhashya. By the influence of Sri Advaita Prabhu's association, Haridasa Ṭhākura also floated in the ocean of the transcendental mellows of Krishna consciousness. Many people think that since Haridasa Ṭhākura was busy in only chanting the holy names, he did not enter into relishing the transcendental mellows in relationship with Govinda. Such belief of the Prakrit Sahajyas is most erroneous, because the holy names of Krishna themselves are the bestowers of all spiritual benedictions, and completely non-different from Krishna, the embodiment of all transcendental mellows. Simply by chanting the holy names of Krishna, one relishes the transcendental mellows related with Krishna. There is no possibility of relishing the transcendental mellows related with Krishna by any other process, only through Harinam. Thakur Haridas was the actual knower of transcendental mellows related with Krishna, the actual knower of Ras. And he is the principal teacher for understanding Ras Shastras, our literatures filled with the transcendental mellows related with Krishna. Due to committing offenses against the holy names of the Lord, the sentimental Prakrit Sahajya Sampradayas become bewildered with material enjoyment, and thus have no information regarding the transcendental mellows related with the holy names. Niravadi Haridasa Ganga Tire Tire Brahmen Kotuka Krishna Boli Uchasware. Haridas would continually wander on the banks of the Ganga while loudly chanting the names of Krishna. Gaudiya Bhashya. Regarding the situation of Haridasa Ṭhākura, it is stated in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Purva 3.11. Kshantir avyarta kalatvam viraktir manashunyata ashabandha samutkanta namagane sadaruchi asaktistar gunakhyane pritistar vasati stale ityadayo nubhavasyur jata bhavankure jane. When the seed of ecstatic emotion for Krishna fructifies, the following 9 symptoms manifest in one's behavior: forgiveness, concern that time should not be wasted, detachment, absence of false prestige, hope, eagerness, a taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord, attachment to the descriptions of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and affection for those places where the Lord resides, that is, a temple or a holy place like Vrindavan. These are all called anubhavs, subordinate signs of ecstatic emotion. They are visible in a person in whose heart the seed of love of God has begun to fructify. Also, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.240, Kavi, one of the nine Yogendras, says to Nimi, the king of Videha, as follows. He says, Evam vrata sapriya nama kirtya jatanuraga druta chitta uchai hasatyatoro dhitiro tigayat tunmadavan nrityati lokabahya. By chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord, one comes to the stage of love of Godhead. Then the devotee is fixed in his vow as an eternal servant of the Lord, and he gradually becomes very much attached to a particular name and form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As his heart melts with ecstatic love, he laughs very loudly, or cries or shouts. Sometimes he sings and dances like a madman, for he is indifferent to public opinion. This purport applies to verses 22 to 32. Okay, so the next 10 verses, this purport also applies to that. Vishaya sukhete virakter agraganya Krishna name paripurna shivadana dhanya. Haridas was most renounced in the matter of material enjoyment, and his mouth was always beautified with the chanting of Lord Krishna's names. Gaudiya Bhashya. The tongue of Sri Haridasa Ṭhākura was always engaged in chanting the holy names of Krishna. His tongue, which constantly chanted the names of Krishna, was extraordinarily attractive. Since he was completely indifferent to material enjoyment, detachment for all such enjoyment awakened within him. The holy names of Krishna never dance on the tongues of those who are material enjoyers. Those who are busy enjoying the 6 mundane rasas and whose hearts are always disturbed with desires and greed for material happiness never develop any taste for chanting the holy names of the Lord. The pseudo-renunciates who are aloof from the chanting of the names of Krishna are also indifferent to chanting, like the material enjoyers. Thakur Haridas was completely detached from enjoying material happiness, and thus remained on the topmost platform. Kshanika Govinda Name Nahiko Virakti Bhakti Rase Anukhan Hoy Nana Murti. He did not give up chanting the names of Govinda for even a moment, and as a result, he was constantly manifesting various ecstatic symptoms. Gaudiya Bhashya. Thakur Haridas was never in any way indifferent to the chanting of the names of Govinda. He was constantly merged in the transcendental mellows related with Krishna. Kokono koren nritya apana apani, kokono koren matta singha prai dhvani. Sometimes he danced alone, and sometimes he roared like a mad lion. Kokono va uchai sware koren rodan, atta atta mahahasya hasen kokon. Sometimes he crowed loudly. Sometimes he crowed. Oh my God. He crowed loudly. That's what I was about to say. Sometimes he cried loudly, and sometimes he laughed loudly. Kokono garjen ati hunkar koriya, kokono murchita hoy thaken poriya. Sometimes he roared loudly, and sometimes he fell to the ground unconscious. Kone olokika shabda bolen dakiya, kone tai bakanen uttama koriya. Sometimes he would utter some unnatural sounds for which he would later give some profound meaning. Ashrupat Ramaharsha Hasya Murcha Gharma Krishna Bhakti Vikarer Jata Ache Marma. He manifested all the different ecstatic symptoms like crying, hair standing on end, laughing, losing consciousness, and perspiring. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Krishna Bhakti Vikar indicates the following 8 transformations of ecstatic love. Okay, so these are the Ashtasattvic bhavs. Stamba, being stunned. Sweda, perspiring. Romancha, hair standing on end. Swara Bhed, choking. Vepatu, or kampa, that's trembling. Vaivarnya, fading of color. Ashru, weeping. And pralay, or mursha, devastation. Prabhu Haridasa Matra Nritte Praveshile Shakala Asiyatan Shri Vigraha Mile. As soon as Haridas began to dance, these symptoms would all manifest in his body. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word Shri Vigraha is explained as follows. The body of Śrī Haridāsa Ṭhākura is not a lump of blood, flesh, and skin like that of an ordinary fruitive worker. As a result of serving the holy names, various pure ecstatic transformations would manifest in his transcendental body. The Vaishnava associates of the Lord who are inclined towards his service manifest many pure ecstatic transformations in their transcendental bodies, unlike the ordinary fruitive workers, who become averse to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness while gratifying their material bodies. Heno she ananda dhara titte sarvayanga ati pashandi o dekhi pai maharanga. Haridasa's entire body became wet as tears of love flowed from his eyes. Even staunch atheists would offer him respect. Gaudiya Bhashya. When Haridasa Ṭhākura chanted the names of Krishna out of love, tears flowed from his eyes, and his entire body would become wet. Even the most atheistic offenders who were devoid of devotional service, even they became astonished on seeing such transcendently ecstatic transformations. Kivashe arbuta ange Shri Pulakavali Brahma Shiva Odekiya Hoil Kutuhali. Even Brahma and Shiva were satisfied to see the wonderful manifestation of Haridasa's hair standing on end. Puliya gramer joto Brahmana shakal Shabe tahane deki hoila vival. All the Brahmins of Pulia were overwhelmed upon seeing Haridas. Gaudiya Bhashya. Upon seeing the bodily transformations of Haridasa Ṭhākura, the Pulia Brahmins who were engaged in fruitive activities, they realized the uselessness of such temporary activities, and they became overwhelmed by seeing those waves of love. All of them developed special respect for him. Okay. Sabara tahane boro janmilo vishwas Puliyai rohilen Prabhu Haridas. While Haridas Prabhu resided in Pulia, everyone there developed great faith in him. Ganga snan kori niravadi harinam Ucha kori loya bulen sarvasthan. Haridas would regularly take bath in the Ganga and then loudly chant the names of Lord Hari while wandering about. Kaji giya muluker adipati sthane kohilek tahana shakala vivarane. The Kazi went to the king of Bengal and complained about Haridas. Gaudiya Bhashya. The Kazi, the Muslim justice of Pulia, informed his respected superior, the king of Bengal, about the activities of Haridas. Javana hoya kore Hindur Ācārya Bhalo mate tare ani koroho vichar. Haridas is a Muslim, but he follows the religion of the Hindus. Please call him and consider his case. Gaudiya Bhashya. Since Thakur Haridas appeared in a Muslim family and acted contrary to the behavior of the Muslims, according to their consideration, he had committed a grave offense and must be punished. Considering in this way, the Kazi complained to the king. Papir vachana shuni sheho papamati dhori anailo tane ati shigra gati. Hearing the words of the sinful Kazi, the sinful king immediately called for Haridas. Gaudiya Bhashya. The sinful king, who was hostile to devotional service, ordered that Haridas be arrested without delay. Krishner prasade Haridasa mahashay javaner ki dai kaler o nama bhoy. By the mercy of Krishna, Śrī Haridas was not even afraid of death personified, so what to speak of the Muslim rulers? Gaudiya Bhashya. Thakur Mahashai, who was glorious by the mercy of the Lord, was not afraid of the Muslim king as he came before him. What to speak of an ordinary human being, he was not even afraid of Yamaraj, the destroyer of all. Krishna Krishna boliya chalila shekhane Muluka patir age dila darshane. Chanting the name of Krishna, he immediately went to see the king. Haridasa Ṭhākurer শুনিয়া গমন হরি সে বিষাদ হইলা যত susajjan. Hearing about Haridasa's departure to see the king, pious persons felt morose in the midst of their happiness. Gaudiya Bhashya. Upon hearing that the Muslim king had arrested Thakur Haridasa in order to torture him, the local residents became extremely distressed. They were already happy from hearing about Haridasa Thakur's loud chanting of the holy names and his pure ecstatic transformations. But by now, hearing and fearing about the inevitable oppression of Haridas, they all became depressed in the midst of their happiness, they became depressed in the midst of their happiness resulting from seeing him. Boro boro loko joto ache bandi ghare tara sob hrishta hoilo shuniya antare. When the respectable persons in prison heard that Haridas had come to see the king, they become pleased at heart. Gaudiya Bhashya. Being arrested, Thakur Haridas was put in prison like an ordinary criminal. Although many prestigious persons had been imprisoned there. Yes, because just for being a Hindu, doing something like they would put people. So there was many great prestigious persons there. These persons became extremely joyful on receiving the association of this transcendental sadhu. Parama Vaishnava Haridasa Mahashai Tane deki bandi dukha hoi beka khoi. Haridas is a great Vaishnav. By seeing him, our distress due to imprisonment will be vanquished. Gaudiya Bhashya. Those prisoners began to consider that by seeing such a Mahabhagavat Mahatma as Haridas, their miseries would be diminished. Rakshaka loker sabe sadhana koriya rohilen bandigan ekadrishti hoya. The prisoners tactfully persuaded the guards to let them see Haridas without disturbance. Okay, Gaudiya Bhashya. The word sadhan means the method for achieving one's goal. It also means flattery, earnest entreaty, submissive requests, or adulation. Haridasa Ṭhākura aila sthane bandi sabe dekhi kripa drishti hoilo mane. When Haridas Thakur came there and saw all the prisoners, he glanced mercifully upon them. 46. Haridas Thakurer charana dekhiya rohilen bandigan pranati koriya. Seeing the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur, all the prisoners offered obeisances to him. Ajano lampita bhuja kamala nayan sarva manohar mukha chandra anupam. Haridas's hands reached to his knees. His eyes were like lotus petals, and his enchanting moon-like face was beyond compare. Bhakti kori shabe kori le namaskar sabar hoilo Krishna bhaktir vikar. As everyone devotedly offered obeisances to him, the ecstatic devotional symptoms manifest in their bodies. Tasabara bhakti dekhe Prabhu Haridas. Sorry, I'm just gonna stand up. I'm gonna unplug this mic. Okay, you can hear me okay, right? Yeah. Tasabara bhakti dekhe Prabhu Haridas bandi sab dekhi tan hoilo kripahas. When Haridas saw the prisoners' devotion, he mercifully smiled at them. Gaudiya Bhashya. Seeing the prisoners, Haridas compassionately displayed his smiling face to them. Tako. Oh my God, this is very interesting.
What's this? Tako tako ekon achoho jeno rupe, gupta ashirvad kori hasen kotuke. What's this benediction he's giving them? This is very strange, seemingly. With a curious smile, Haridas gave them an ambiguous blessing. Tako tako, stay here, stay here. Ekon achoho jeno rupe. Stay here as you are now. Stay here. And so what is he? He's telling us to stay as we are now in prison, not to. So let's see what the. Na bhujiya tahan she durgeya vachan pandishab hoilo kichu vishaditaman. Unable to understand his equivocal words, the prisoners felt morose. Tabe pache kripa jukta hoy Haridas, gupta ashirvada kohe koriya prakash. Shortly after, however, Haridas mercifully explains the meaning of his mysterious blessing. Ami toma sabare je koinlo ashirvad, tar artana bhujiya bhavaho vishad. You have not understood the meaning of the blessings I gave, and therefore you are lamenting. Gaudiya Bhashya. Upon seeing the all-auspicious smile of Thakur Haridas, the imprisoned criminals became morose, not understanding that the smile was a confidential blessing in disguise. Seeing their moroseness, Thakur Mahashai said to them, I have blessed you with an auspicious smile. Do not consider it otherwise and feel sad. Manda ashirvada ami kokono na kori, mana diya shabe iha bujaho vichari. I never award inauspicious benedictions. Carefully try to understand as I explain. Ebe Krishna pratitoma sabakarman, jeno ache e mata thaku sarvakan. As your minds are presently fixed on Krishna, let them stay that way forever. Gaudiya Bhashya. Thakur Haridas said to the prisoners, your present state of mind is auspicious for you because you have received the opportunity to cultivate Krishna consciousness by giving up endeavors for material enjoyment. Therefore, always remain engaged in chanting Krishna's names and in remembering Krishna. If you get freedom from prison life and again indulge in sense gratification, then as a result of associating with wicked persons who are averse to the Lord, you will forget the Supreme Lord. As long as the endeavor for material enjoyment is prominent in the living entity, there is no possibility for him to worship Krishna. The goal of the material enjoyers is diametrically opposite to Krishna. The conditioned souls who are devoid of devotional service to Krishna are always merged in topics related to their wives and children, which are the center of their enjoyment. If by the mercy of the Lord, a person in this dangerous situation meets a saintly person, his taste for material enjoyment will be turned into a taste for the service of the Supreme Lord. When one gives up the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, then his natural material propensities will submerge him in a mire of offenses. I do not mean that you should remain suffering within this prison, but in your present condition, you should have the opportunity to constantly chant the holy names of the Lord. Therefore, do not feel distressed. The Vaishnavas always bless all living entities with the words, may your devotion to the Supreme Lord be fixed. I consider this the greatest mercy towards the living entities. Your prison life will soon be finished. Never give up your determination for serving the Supreme Lord in any condition. This purport also applies to the next 12 verses. Okay, so now 56. Ebe nitya Krishna naam Krishner chintan, shabe meli korite takoho anukhan. Now you can all together constantly chant the names of Krishna and think of Krishna. Krishna Nam or Krishner Chintan. Sabe mele kurite takoho anukhan. Ebe hingsa nahi nahi prajar pidan. Krishna boli kakuvade koroho chintan. Here you have no envy or trouble from others, so you can humbly chant and think of Krishna. Arbargiya vishayete pravartile, shave iha pasaribe gele dushta mele. Otherwise, if you again return to material enjoyment by bad association, you'll forget everything about Krishna. Vishaya thakite Krishna prema nahi hoy, Vishayir dure Krishna jani ho nishchoy. One cannot achieve love for Krishna as long as he is engaged in sense gratification. You should know for certain that Krishna is far away from such persons. Vishaye abhishtaman boroy janjal, Stri putra maya jal e shabukal. The mind that is absorbed in material enjoyment is a great disturbance. Attachment for wife and children are the binding ropes of illusion that lead one to death. Daive kono bhagyavan sadhu sanga pai, Vishaye avesha chari Krishna re bhajai. If by providence a fortunate person achieves the association of a devotee, he gives up his attachment for material enjoyment and worships Krishna. Sheshava aparada have punarbar, Vishayer dharma e shuno katha sar. In conclusion, the nature of material enjoyment is that one makes the same mistake again and again. Bandi thako heno ashirvada nahi kori, Vishaya pasar ahar nisha bolo hari. Therefore, I did not mean to say, stay there in prison, but rather, stay free from thoughts of material enjoyment and always chant the name of Hari. Chale korilaya ami e ashirvad, Tilar deka na bhavi ho tomra vishad. Do not even slightly lament that I gave you this blessing in an ambiguous way. Sarva jiva pratidaya darshana amar, Krishna drida bhakti hok toma sabakar. I glance mercifully on all living entities. May you all have firm devotion for Lord Krishna. Chintanahi dina dui tiner bhitore, Bandhana ghuchibe e kohilun tomare. Do not worry. I guarantee that within 2 or 3 days you will be freed. Vishayate thako kiva thako jatha tata, e buddhi kabuna pasariho sarvata. Whether you are a householder or a renunciate, whatever you are, do not forget these instructions at any cost. Pandi shakaler kori shubhanu sandhan, ailena muluker adhipati. After offering the prisoners his best wishes, Haridas went before the king. Ati manohar teja dekhiya tahan, parama gaurave vashi vare dilastan. When the king saw Haridasa's brilliant effulgence, he respectfully offered him a seat. Apane jigyase tare muluker pati, Kene bhai tomar ki rup dekhi mati. Kene bhai tomar ki rup dekhi mati. Then the king personally inquired, My dear brother, why do you have such a mentality? Koto bhage deko tumi hoyacho javan, tabe kene hindur achare deho man. By good fortune, you have been born a Muslim. So why do you follow the religious practices of the Hindus? Amra hindure dekhi nahi khai bhat, Taha chara hoy tumi mahabangsha jat. We do not even eat rice that's been touched by the Hindus. So why are you degrading yourself? You've been born in a high family. Jati dharma lankhi koro anya vyavahar, paraloke kemone ba pai ba nistar. You're transgressing your caste and religion to follow the religion of others. How will you attain salvation? Na janiya je kichu korila anachar, she papa guchaho kori kalma uchar. Whatever sinful activities you've unknowingly performed can be cleared by uttering kalma. What's kalma? Let's see. Gaudiya Bhashya. Considering that Haridasa Ṭhākura was related to him as his brother, the Mohammedan king told him, I want to know why you've been degraded like this. There is no family superior to the Muslim family. By great fortune you have taken birth in a Muslim family. So why have you accepted the behavior of the inferior Hindus? We do not eat rice touched by the Hindus because they are low class. You have taken birth in a great family, so it is not proper to degrade yourself into a lower family. How will you be delivered after death if you transgress the Mohammedan religious principles and follow other religious principles? Give up such sinful behavior and recite the Chahar Kalma. Then you'll be freed from the sin incurred by following the Hindu religion. Kalma, an Arabic word, means word or statement. Kalma refers to a passage from the Quran indicating the acceptance of Muhammad's Islam religion. Shuni maya mohiter vakya haridas, ano Vishnu maya boli hoilo mahahas. After hearing the king, who was illusioned by Maya, Haridas simply laughed and said, How wonderfully the illusory energy acts. Ano Vishnu maya. Gaudiya Bhashya. Hearing the words of the materially conditioned Mohammedan king, Thakur Haridas thought, such a statement befits a person who is bewildered by the illusory energy of Lord Vishnu. Since the conditioned souls accept all material ingredients as objects for their sense gratification, they are cheated from realizing the Supreme Lord. The Lord is fully transcendental, and material ingredients are objects of sense gratification for the conditioned souls. Therefore, Haridasa Ṭhākura realized the uselessness of the Mohammedan king's words. Bolite lagila tare madhur uttar, shuno bhap sabaroy ekoy ishwar, nama matra bheda kore, hindue javane, paramarte eko kohe korane purane. He then sweetly said to the king, Listen, dear sir, the Supreme Lord of all is one without a second. The Hindus and Muslims differentiate the Lord only by name, but in spiritual vision, the Lord is one. This is confirmed in the Puranas and the Quran. Gaudiya Bhashya. Still displaying causeless mercy on the Muslim king, Thakur Haridas began to sweetly speak as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, eternal, non-dual, and the Lord of all living entities. That one Lord is the controller of the Hindus, Muslims, young and old, male and female. Hindus and non-Hindu Muslims who are ignorant of the science of the Supreme Lord foolishly oppose each other by concocting two different gods with separate names. But when they give up such discrimination and such difference of opinion, and they indifferently consider the respective religious scriptures, the Puranas and the Quran, then they will never find such differences in the absolute truth. The same Lord that's described in the Quran is the same Lord that's described in the Puranas. There isn't two separate gods. Eka Shuddha Nitya Vastu Akhanda Avyaya Paripurna Hoya Boishe Sabar Hriday. The pure, eternal, non-dual, inexhaustible Lord sits in the heart of everyone. Gaudiya Bhashya. The Supreme Lord is pure, free from contamination, and untouched by sinful reactions. He is imperishable and ever-existing. The Supreme Lord cannot be divided by secular consideration. The Supreme Lord does not expand or diminish under the control of the time factor. Therefore, he resides in the hearts of all living entities, including the Hindus and Muslims. He sits in their hearts as the undivided Supersoul. The same Lord who is situated in the hearts of the Muslims is situated in the hearts of the Hindus. Being impure as a result of aversion to the Supreme Lord from time immemorial, and thus under the control of the temporary misconceptions based on mundane time, place, and person, the living entities consider themselves the enjoyers, and they become those living entities, they become averse to the service of the Lord, and they do not due to not understanding the undivided Supersoul as a complete whole. Rather, they wrongly consider him a fragmented living entity like themselves. If only they give up their concocted material enjoyment and mental speculation based on the desire for liberation, and they engage in devotional service, then they will know him as the only worshipable Lord. She Prabhu jare jeno lawaye naman, she mata karma kore shakal bhuvan. That Lord induces everyone to work in a particular way, and everyone in the entire world acts accordingly. Gaudiya Bhashya. Following the whims of their minds, the conditioned souls act according to the inspiration they receive from that undivided, inexhaustible, eternally pure Supreme Lord who directs them to act. In the Bhagavad Gita 1861, it is stated, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. She Prabhur nama guna shakala jagate bolen shakale matra nija shastra mate. The names and qualities of that Lord are chanted by everyone according to their respective scriptural injunctions. Gaudiya Bhashya. The names, forms, qualities, associates, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord are interpreted differently in different parts of the world by different preachers according to their respective scriptures. Jai Ishwar She Puna Sabar Bhavaloy Hingsa Korile She Tahan Hingsa Hoy. The Supreme Lord accepts the devotion of everyone, but if anyone is envious of his children, then he retaliates. Gaudiya Bhashya. Lord Janardhan, who is Bhav Grahi, are appreciative of one's sentiments. He is served by everyone according to their respective moods. If a person rejects or envies the mood of another, then such feelings are actually targeted towards the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a living entity should never envy other living entities. Wow, this is such an important point. If one tries to uproot and converts the internal mood of another person into that of his own narrow-mindedness, then the result will not only be criticism of another's religion, but envious of the Supreme Lord, who is the goal of all religion. Wow, this is a great purport, huh? Service and envy directed to the Supreme Lord are two separate matters. If one misidentifies envy as service to the Supreme Lord, then he will be opposed to the service of the Supreme Lord and will ultimately become envious of the devotees. When a living entity becomes devoid of loving service to the Lord, he becomes sometimes a sense enjoyer, sometimes a fruitive worker, and sometimes an impersonalist, sometimes a hatha yogi, and sometimes a raja yogi. To engage such persons in the service of Lord Mukunda for their eternal benefit is not an act or form of envy. Rather, inducing such persons to engage in activities of sense gratification instead of the service of the Lord, that is to give indulgence to envious activities and therefore must be given up. eteke amare she ishvara je heno, lawayachen chitte kori ami teno, lawayachen chitte kori ami teno. Okay. Therefore, I am only acting under the inspiration of the Supreme Lord. Gaudiya Bhashya. For this reason, I am engaged in the service of the Lord according to the inspiration he has given me. A person makes progress in the service of the Lord by acting in whatever way the Lord inspires him. That's Haridasa Ṭhākura says it. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita 10.10, it is stated, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam tadami buddhiyogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Hindu kule keno jena hoya brahman, apane asiya hoy ichai javan. By his own desire, a Hindu Brahman may also become a Muslim. Gaudiya Bhashya. Just as I have taken birth in a Muslim family, yet by the will of the Lord, I have engaged in devotional service to Vishnu, as befitting a Brahmana, a person born in a Brahmin family can also give up his Brahminical duties by the will of the Lord and follow social codes that are opposed to the Vedas under the influence of his mental whims. Hinduba ki kore tare jar je karma, apane je moilo tare Mariya ki dharma. What can the Hindus do? That is his karma. If one is already dead, then what is the use of killing him? Gaudiya Bhashya. The living entities achieve appropriate punishment or reward for the activities they perform under the influence of their respective tastes. Therefore, there is no need for their separate punishment. It is stated, Sakarma phala bhuk puman. Every human being enjoys the fruits of his karma. Mahashai tumi ebe koroho vichar, jadi dosh thake shasti koroho amar. Dear sir, now you can judge. If I am at fault, then you may punish me. Haridasa Ṭhākura susatya vachan, shuniya santosh hoilo shakala javan. Hearing Haridasa's conclusive statements, the Muslims were all satisfied. Nice, they were all satisfied. But let's see what comes up. Shabe eka papi kaji mulaka patire, bolile lagila shasti koroho ihare. So all the Muslims were satisfied, but ek papi kaji, only the one sinful Kazi, he instigated the king, said to the king, punish him. So we will end it there, and tomorrow we'll hear all the different ways. Well, actually, no, I'll just read a few translations, but we'll start from this point on tomorrow. But the Kazi said, punish him. This miscreant will simply create, simply create other miscreants, and he'll bring a bad name to the Muslim community. Therefore, punish him in an exemplary way, or at least make him recite the confession from the Quran. The king again requested Haridas, "Oh brother, just recite the confession from the Quran, and you'll have nothing to worry about. Otherwise, the sinful Qazis will punish you, and you'll be forced to recite the Quran anyway. And this way, you'll be humiliated." Haridas said, "One cannot do anything other than what the Supreme Lord desires. Know for certain that the Lord awards the results of one's offenses. And then we come to this famous verse, Khanda khanda hoy deho jai jadi pran, tabu ami vadane na chari harinam. This is a very important verse. Haridasa Ṭhākura says, even if my body is cut into pieces and I give up my life, I will never give up chanting the Lord's holy name. After hearing Haridasa's statement, the king asked the Kazi, "Now, what will you do with him?" The Kazi replied, he should be beaten in the 22 marketplaces. Take his life in this way. That is my opinion. So yeah, we'll read all these verses and hear the rest of the story tomorrow. All right. Do a little kirtan.
And if anybody has anything to discuss, we can do that. One second, let me just plug my mic back in. Okay. Hi. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hari Bol. Jaya Haridasa Ṭhākura, Haridasa, Haridasa Ṭhākura, Haridasa. Jai Haridasa Ṭhākura, Haridasa, Haridasa Ṭhākura, Haridasa. Jai Hari Nama, Hari Nama, Hari Nama, Jaya Hari Nama, Jai Hari Nama, Jai Krishna Nama, Hari Nama, Jaya Krishna Nama, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur, Hari Bol. Okay. Is Kishore there right now? If not, then I'll do Jaidwani.
Gaur Hari Bol.
Okay, you're there. Would you like to do Jaidwani, and then we can have discussion?
Jai
at
Sab
the-
Jai Sabrikash Shri Guru Gauranga Gan Harvita Girit Hari Rad Vinod Bihari Rad Nainath Rad Raman Bihari Rad Marva Shishi Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Sri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Jai Nati Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Paramaham Sabri Vrajagachari Varya Astotrashta Shishman Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Guru Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nati Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Paramaham Sabri Vrajagachari Varya Astotrashta Shishman Bhakti Vedanta Shala Narayan Goswami Maharaj Parit Pavan Gurudev Ki Jai Jai Nati Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Stotrashta Shishman Bhakti Balab Tirth Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nati Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Stotrashta Shishman Bhakti Vedanta Shala Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nati Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Stotrashta Shishman Bhakti Vedanta Shala Vikram Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nati Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Stotrashta Shishman Jagar Guru Bhakti Vedanta Swami Goswami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nati Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Stotrashta Shishman Bhakti Dvaita Madhav Goswami Param Guru Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nati Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Stotrashta Shishman Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Param Gurudev Chari Keshari Ki Jai Jai Nati Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Stotrashta Shishman Jagar Guru Shri Varshavana Vidaita Das Shala Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Ṭhākura Prabhupada Ki Jai Swaprakash Śrīla Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Ṭhākura Ki Jai Mahaparam Nitya Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Mahaparam Bhagavat Paravar Paramahamsa Shishmar Gaur Kishore Das Babji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Satam Goswami Astotrashta Shishman Sachidanand Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura Mahāshaya Ki Jai Nitya Alela Pravishtam Vishnu Par Vaishnav Sarvam Astotrashta Shishman Jagannath Das Babji Maharaj Ki Jai Sri Kundavasi Shri Madhusudan Das Babji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Udavdas Udaran Das Ki Jai Advaita Ācārya Śrīla Baladev Devbhushan Prabhu Ki Jai Mahamahopradhyaya Raskari Shiromani Shala Vishnu Chakravarti Ṭhākura Par Ki Jai Shala Raskanand Murari Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Ramachandra Kaviraj Ki Jai Sri Lochan Das Ṭhākur Ki Jai Jai Shala Narottam Das Ṭhākur Mahāshaya Srinivas Acharya Shyamananda Pandit Pravutrai Ki Jai Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Yasavatar Arkavishala Vrindavan Das Ṭhākur Ki Jai Sri Ashtakabiraj Vasurajanva Nityananda Tarusha Shri Chaushati Mahanta Ki Jai Jai Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shar Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Swarup Damodara Yaramananda Lokanath Garba Adi Gaur Parishad Vrind ki jai. Shura Vishnu Bhakti Bhakti Prakash Vigraha Jagarguru Shri Srimad Haridasa Ṭhākura Mahashaya ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridāsa Ṭhākura ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्रील ईश्वर परिपार की जय. शील मारविंद्र परिपार की जय. श्री अंतर्द्वीप मायापुर सिमंदीप गौतमदीप मध्यदीप गौलदीप ऋतुदीप जानुदीप मातृद्रुमादीप रुद्रादीप मात्मक श्री नावदीप धाम की जय. श्री एक चक्र धाम की जय. श्री शांतिपुर धाम की जय. श्री गौरचंद्र भगवान की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ गोपी गोपा गौ गिरि गोवर्धन वरषटवनाथ माक श्री ब्रज मंडल धाम की जय. श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गंगा सखी आमन सखी तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जय. वृषभानुनंदिनी श्रीमती राधा रानी ठाकुरानी की जय. श्री ललिता विशाखा चित्रा चंपकलता टुंग विद्या इंदुलेखा रंगदेवी सुदेवी आदि सख्य वृंद की जय. श्री अनंग प्रेम मंजुलाली श्री रूप लवंगा राग विलास गुणरति कस्तूरी आदि मंजारी वृंद की जय. श्री कमल मंजरी की जय. श्री नयन मणि मंजरी की जय. श्री विनोद मंजरी की जय. श्रीमती वृंद देवी की जय. श्री भगवती पूर्णमासी उमाय देवी की जय. श्री गोपीश्वर सरशिव महादेव की जय. श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय. राधा परंकित धाम की जय. जय श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन चक्र नीलमाधव जू की जय. श्री जगन्नाथ पुरी पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र मंडल नीलाचल धाम की जय. सर्वा विघ्ना विनाशन करे भक्त विघ्ना विनाश सुरेंद्र सिंह देव की जय. भक्तराज भक्त प्रवर श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय. श्री प्रहलाद लक्ष्मी नरसिंह देव की जय. श्री छरिराम छरि संप्रदाय छरि आचार्य की जय. श्री मध्वार मनुज विष्णु स्वामी नंबरित्य छरि आचार्य की जय. आकर मतरा श्री चैतन्य मात की जय. श्री गौरी मात वृंद की जय. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भगवताम भगवद गीता चैतन्य चरितामृत चैतन्य भगवत जैव धर्म आदि सर्व गौरी वैष्णव ग्रंथ वृंद की जय. त्रिभुवन मंगल श्री हरिनाम प्रभु की जय. त्रिभुवन मंगल श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन युग धर्म की जय. त्रिभुवन मंगल धन्य कलियुग तरक ब्रह्म श्री हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे महामंत्र की जय. श्री हरिनाम आचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. श्री अनंत पुरी वैष्णव वृंद की जय. श्री समगत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्री चैतन्य भगवत की जय. श्रील वृंदावन दास ठाकुर की जय. श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती प्रभुपाद गौरी वैश्य की जय. श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल.
Vrindaya Tulsidevaya Priyaya Keshavascha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavataaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody. So anything that from today's reading that you want to discuss?
Habibi Krishna.
What was that?
Habibi Krishna.
What's that mean?
My friend Krishna in Arabic.
Okay. Habibi Krishna.
Arjuna Uhoda. Habibi Krishna. In case anyone's wondering, yes, the Bhagavad Gita has been translated into Arabic.
Really? Wow, that's so fascinating.
Yeah. And Arjuna addresses Krishna as Habibi Krishna.
Nice.
But what was it that Bhakti-san Saraswati Prabhupada wrote in his commentary that Namacharya Haridasa Ṭhākura is an eternally perfected soul? Or associate of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata? remember reading that in the commentary in the beginning, the very first verse.
Yeah, I mean that's also what I've always understood. Did you have another? Did you ever think of anything?
No, no, what I've heard. No, I've heard that some devotees ask Gurudev, how can Haridasa Ṭhākura be Nitya Parikar, even though he's Brahman Prahlad? And Gurudev gave an answer. I don't remember what Gurudev answered, but Gurudev like kind of gave an answer like kind of saying that, why are you asking?
Mm-hmm.
And some Gaudiya Math sannyasis have said that Haridasa Ṭhākura is not Nitya Parikar, but I don't accept that.
Yeah, that's kind of a shocking kind of statement. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, he's like one of the most prominent associates of Mahaprabhu. How could he not be an eternal, like a Nitya Parikar?
Yeah. And some people have, I feel that they've misinterpreted like Gurudev's statement of who's superior here, Haridasa Ṭhākura or Rupa Goswami, when they say that Rupa Goswami, he fell unconscious in meditation of Radha and Krishna, that he would go into trance after not even being able to say Hare. And then they make the comparison to Haridasa Ṭhākura, saying that Haridasa Ṭhākura was chanting 300,000 holy names, but he is Lord Brahma, so we don't know if he was experiencing rasa or anything like that.
But today we read that, right?
Uh-huh. Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur says only foolish people would think this, that Haridasa Ṭhākura was not experiencing rasa.
Yes. Yes, we have the praman now to counter those statements. But yeah, that was during there is a certain time, I think like when Padmanabha Maharaj was first coming to Gurudev also, that was Gurudev asked him that question. And Padmanabha Maharaj heard a recording of Gurudev asking that question to somebody else, to the GBC, whatever, like that time when the GBC gurus were going to see Gurudev. And so that was like a point that Gurudev was really like pushing, like it was asking everybody. Because most devotees in ISKCON, at that time at least, they were thinking that Haridasa Ṭhākura is superior to Rupa Goswami because he's Namacharya, chants 3 lakhs of Harinam every day. And there's probably more descriptions of Haridasa Ṭhākura in Caitanya-bhāgavata and in Chaitanya Charitamrita than Rupa Goswami, maybe. I think so. It's quite a lot. It's like we published a whole book just with those, just those excerpts. And so people thought Haridasa Ṭhākura is the topmost, in Rupa Goswami's. But yeah, Gurudev really strongly emphasized that point. Actually, just a couple years ago, I think, or it was last year, was that ISKCON? There's a Prabhupada disciple, Vyasaki. He had lunch with Kishori Mohan Prabhu. Vyasaki Prabhu. He invited him for lunch at NVT. No, it wasn't lunch. Anyways, he wanted to meet with Kishori Mohan. And so he arranged it with Kishori Mohan, and they met together. And he brought up this point, and he couldn't accept that that Rupa Goswami was in any way superior to Haridasa Ṭhākura. And Kishori Mohan was trying to make him understand, but it just wasn't working. He was really stuck on this idea. So I guess it's a real thing for people. I mean, because to me, I guess just because we've been we've been hearing from Gurudev for so long, it's the most obvious thing ever. But anyhow,
I mean, I don't want to minimize the glories of Haridasa Ṭhākura in any way whatsoever, but Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, he's Rupa Manjari, and Narottam Das Thakur is saying that Sri Rupa Manjari is my everything. She's the very life of my life, the goal of all my dharma, karma, of all my austerities, everything. Yes. And Rupa Manjari is serving in the confidential Kunjas of Braj. And that's just in Krishna Leela we're speaking. In this world, Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ordered Rupa Goswami to preach and write various scriptures. And as Madhava Das says in his famous song, I think Madhava Das is actually coming in the cyclic line of Rupa Goswami somehow or other. he took initiation from one of the associates of the Goswamis. Anyhow, Madhava Das, he's saying that who could have written such scriptures? Who could have written such scriptures as Srila Rupa Goswami? Like in the same way that a swan separates the water from milk. Who could have resided in Vrindavan?
I mean, out of all the associates of Mahaprabhu, there's only one associate that we say is the Chaitanya Manobhish Stapak. There's no other associate of Mahaprabhu. I mean, he is the one that Mahaprabhu entrusted to establish his whole purpose for coming here for us. His internal reason for it's Rupa Goswami. Yes. Sorry, I missed that. What was that last thing you said?
Oh, I just said Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who established within this world the mission to fulfill the dearmost desires of the heart of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, personally give me the shelter of his lotus feet?
I mean, we call ourselves Rupa Nugas. We don't call ourselves Haridasa Nugas or anything like that. So,
Nirhari Prabhu is saying there is no competition. It's true. There is no competition here.
Yes. So, yeah. Anyhow, I don't even know how this became such an issue for people, but it seems like very obvious.
Like I said, I don't want to minimize the glories of Haridasa.
No, minimizing the glories.
Yeah, we're not minimizing. Haridasa Ṭhākura is so exalted. He's Namacharya. And of course, we're following Haridasa Ṭhākura as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just that Rupa Goswami established what Mahaprabhu came to give.
Yes. Rupa Goswami is like our goal. He's like our prayoja and everything.
Something I wanted to mention during Rupa Goswami's appearance, but it didn't come to mind until afterwards, that I always found it interesting that Mahaprabhu, he sees Rupa Goswami and Haridasa together. That what is our abhideya? What is our process? Our process is Harinam. And who is the Acharya of that? Haridasa Ṭhākura. And who is our Acharya for Abhideya Tattva? That's Rupa Goswami. And where was Rupa Goswami living in Jagannath Puri? He was living at Siddhavakul with Haridasa Ṭhākura. So the Acharya of the process was living with the Acharya of the same process. Harinam.
Wow, that's very nice. Yes, they were. Yeah, that's a very beautiful point. Yeah, when you go to Siddhavakul, you can see vigrahas of Rupa and Sanatan, because they always resided there with Haridasa Ṭhākura.
Sananda Goswami was also there?
Yeah, Rupa and Sanatan both stayed there when they went to Siddhavakul, yes.
Nice.
Yes, and Mahaprabhu would go there every day. That was part of his daily schedule. He would go there in the morning time before he'd go to... after he would come from the ocean, he would go to see Haridasa Ṭhākura at Siddhavakul. Right? I think it was after. And we read that. We read that Mahaprabhu would come after he'd bathed in the ocean, to show that, because otherwise people might think that he was going to bathe in ocean because he was after associating with a Muslim, and so to purify himself or whatever. So Mahaprabhu would come after bathing in the ocean to show that no, being in the association of Vaishnava is purifying, like Haridasa Ṭhākura is purifying, regardless if he's born a Muslim or anything like that. Yeah.
A similar thing happened with Ramanuja Acharya, that he was with one disciple, Dhanuradas, that after taking his bath, he would ride on the shoulders of Dhanuradas.
Interesting. Never heard that.
But you know who I'm talking about, right? Dhanuradas.
Oh yes, I do. Like the dacoit disciple. Yeah, I think he was a dacoit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool.
I wish I could say more on Haridasa Ṭhākura, on his preaching, on his interfaith preaching, but I don't have much to say.
Yeah.
It's very
No.
Speak.
I wasn't going to say anything on that. I was just going to say there's this that Have you seen that book Namacharya Śrīla Haridāsa Ṭhākura?
Yeah, the
It-
one from Gurudev, right?
Yeah, it is such a good book. Oh my god, I actually wanted to make that into an audiobook. I had a whole plan, like I never ended up doing it. I think Siddhanti
Siddhanti Maharaj did an audiobook.
Maharaj did it, yeah.
I listened to the audiobook.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but Haridasa Ṭhākura, he gave a very interesting interfaith discussion.
Yes.
I remember hearing somewhere that Bhaktivinoda Thakur also had a similar discussion with a person, with a Muslim, saying, like, what is the difference between Ram and Rahim? Like, they're the same thing. Both are Bhagavan.
I mean, there's that whole chapter in Jaiva Dharma also, which is just right about I think the chapter is called Nitya Dharma and Idolatry, and it's you remember that chapter? It's all speaking, and it's very beautiful, like very interfaith, seeing our Vaishnav Dharma through the Quran, and it's beautiful chapter of Jaiva Dharma. That's like really nice for any Muslim person to read, because they see the similarities of the Quran and our scriptures.
The Quran doesn't accept the impersonal personal conception of God. There's places where it says Allah will show his hand and Allah will come down. It's saying that God has form.
Wow.
Same thing in the Bible. Man created God in his image.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, the Quran is personal also. It's just God is so great that you can't even think about like a name or form or anything, because it's just so great, right? Isn't that what Allah means? It means greater. I think it's like whatever you think, it's greater than that. Whatever form you think, whatever name, anything, it's completely inconceivable.
There are names though. There are names for Bhagavan though.
Yeah.
In all religions, there's a name for Bhagavan.
Yes.
Like I mentioned once how Srila Prabhupada was talking with one Christian scholar, and he was saying that, and Prabhupada was saying, like, why don't you take the name of God? If you don't know, yours you can take from us. There is no loss, only gain. And he said, because I don't know if it's the right name. For me, God has no name. And then Prabhupada said, so why does Jesus say, hallowed be thy name?
Srila Prabhupada is so bold. I love it.
In the Quran, there's 99 names of Allah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And one secret name. I think the secret name is like Rob or Trob or something like that.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, really? And like the very first verse of the Quran kind of glorifies the holy name.
Really?
Yeah, it's Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the Almighty, the All-Merciful.
Huh. Wow, that's actually really nice. I'd love to learn a little bit. Like, actually, that's something I've never. Because I was just, well, you were also born in a devotee family and everything. So but I've never looked into it. Like, I do not know anything about the Bible, about the Quran, about anything, Judaism or anything. It'd actually be really good for me to get educated a little bit in world religions like that.
You can talk to your father, Rishabdev Prabhu.
Yeah, my dad knows a lot. My dad's got he's even giving me things to read. I've just been lazy. But yeah, no, he's really interested in all that stuff.
I remember years back, well, maybe not years back, Achyutananda Prabhu was talking to a devotee from a Jewish background on like the holy name. And the devotee was saying like, yeah, there's a lot of Ashwarya in Judaism regarding the holy name. And he was saying that some person was slapping another person for mispronouncing the name. And Achyutananda Prabhu was saying that, yeah, he was slapping him because he was mispronouncing it. That doesn't mean that we can't chant the holy name. That just means that we can't mispronounce it.
That's nice. Yeah, Rup Manjari, she has some relatives that are Jews, and so she knows a lot about Judaism, and like she was telling me all these similar practices to ours that they follow, like many things, and also in the scriptures that's very similar to our. Like there's a lot of actually similarities, a ton. It's very interesting.
Just further proves the point. The Yuga Dharma is Harinam Sankirtan.
Yes.
Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Haribo. Jai Ho. Alright, I need to go because it's 2 minutes till 9. I have another meeting at 9 o'clock. So, thanks for that discussion. And see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow also is the disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Sri Rup Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj. But we're right in the middle of this Leela, so I don't really want to break it. I wanted to finish.
Read before.
Yeah, maybe we can just read before instead of doing Kirtan again. We'll just read a little bit about Srila Bhakti Sri Rup Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj, and then, because tomorrow's reading is going to be a bit long, like if we want to get to the end when Haridasa Ṭhākura goes across the Ganga and, after the beating, then it's going to be like 5,500 words. I looked it up, which is a lot. And so maybe we can just read at the beginning about Srila Bhakti Sri Rup Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj.
Yeah, we can read for like 20 minutes and then we can do Mangal Charan.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. Cool. Alright, Jai Shri Radhe. Haribo. Alright, 1 second, just checking if there's any comments. Okay, Pujamnavu says thank you, Haribo. Okay, Haribo everybody. Pranams.